Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly movie news show. We are a day late. We usually record this on Sunday to go up early Monday. We are recording this Monday night to go up on Tuesday, early Tuesday. That is just tech issues and stuff, and that's why there was no trailer talk this week. We're rolling all the trailers into next week's episode, so you don't look for it this week, but it's coming back this weekend. But yeah, so we have movie news to talk about, and we go through all that throughout the episode. If we watched any movies this week that weren't for review purposes, we'll talk about those. I don't think I have any though. I don't know. You've been quite busy as well.
I watched like half of two movies that happened to be on TV while I fell asleep.
We're not counting those, unless you have
I'm
a
not counting those either.
particularly strong opinion that you want to get across based on a half of a movie. I don't think we'll bother.
I still hate Mamma Mia.
You heard it here first, folks. Well, not first. I'm sure you've said that many a time over your days.
Probably.
But
I'm quite okay with ABBA, but God, I hate that movie.
Okay, so yeah, we talk about movie news. We usually have a comic book movie section, we'll have a general movie section, and then we'll have a horror movie section. We also start with the box office and talk about the last weekend's domestic box office, and that is the format of the show, and that's what we're going to do. So here we are. So I guess without further ado, we'll dive right into the weekend box office. Now normally we record this on a Sunday night after the usually very reliable estimates come out for the weekend, but because we're doing this on Monday, we actually have the actual figures. Now, typically, the difference between the estimates from a Sunday night and then the Monday night actuals are not usually that much. It's like 1 or 2 million either way, maybe. It's not like a big difference.
Yeah.
Because once you've had Friday and Saturday, they can predict Sunday pretty confidently.
I know last week maybe it could have changed the order because the 1 and 2 were pretty close.
Yeah. That wasn't going to happen this week, though. So
did we make guesses?
We did make guesses. I've got guesses.
I honestly don't remember last week. It's been a very long week. I don't recall anything.
So our guesses last week for Mission Impossible Fallout were I guessed 85 million, you guessed 70 million. And then we also guessed for Teen Titans Go to the Movies. You guessed 60 million, I guessed 50.
Oh, I know we wildly overshot, but I stand by my optimism.
Oh dear. So Mission Impossible Fallout was number one. It was number one with 61 million. What's interesting about that is that I don't know if that's the highest domestic opening it's had, but the worldwide weekend opening was the highest the franchise has had. So they're actually quite happy with their Mission Impossible numbers. And it's also getting a lot of good buzz. People are saying it's one of the best, if not the best, in the franchise. Haven't seen it yet myself, but it's out. I mean, it's going to be hard to top Ghost Protocol for me. I think that's above and beyond the rest of the franchise. But yeah, worldwide so far, at the time of recording, has made 155 million. I don't think I'd ever realised like just how kind of a mid-level blockbuster that was in terms of how much it makes. Because I mean, compare that to all of our comic book movies and shit that we get now that are making.
It's relatively low. Yeah.
But clearly it does well enough that they keep coming back, and Tom Cruise keeps to get doing these crazy stunts that he loves to do.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I gave up on the franchise after the mess that was the second one.
The second one's garbage. Absolutely is. But
I know it is, but I didn't care enough to come back for 3.
I want to give a scolding shout out to, I think it was Variety, who had like, oh, we've ranked the Mission Impossible movies best to worst, right? And they ranked the new one at number 1, and they had the 5th one at number 2, which I mean I don't agree with that. I mean it was a decent movie, but
a lot of people have that above thingy, don't they?
Ghost Protocol,
the one that you like, yeah,
and I don't get it. I think it's a fine, decent, like, you know, popcorn movie, but I thought the action was nowhere near as well shot or as fun, or the team dynamic wasn't quite as strong as it was in 4, but whatever. And they had Ghost Protocol, but what shocked me though is they had Mission Impossible 2 above 1 and 3, which is like, what?
Okay, obviously I've not seen 3, so
Yeah.
I can't speak for that. 1 is a pretty solid movie. It seems to be a very different type of movie from what the franchise has become now, don't get me wrong.
To a point. I mean, that was one of the things that bugged me about 5, Rogue Nation, is that if you actually stop and think about the plot, it's basically a remake of the first one.
Is it just a lot more high octane?
lot more high octane, but when you break down the They're being framed. They're trying to figure out who's behind everything. Even the fact that in the middle of the movie, he has to break into a place to steal. Like, you know, in the first movie, it was like a floppy disk he had to steal from the computer room in the CIA building. This time, it's like a USB drive, but instead of being in a room that's well secured, it's in like a big like water cooled dam that has like all these. He has to hold his breath to go into the water. It's like just an over the top thing.
This is my point. One is a pretty subdued, low-key movie, really, all things considered.
So that's the thing. It's not. It's got that face technology where they can disguise each other with like Scooby-Doo laser masks.
I know. But that's what I mean. All things considered.
Yeah.
Given that it has those sorts of things going around, it doesn't feel wacky and crazy and over the top.
Yeah.
Whereas I look at trailers for some of the newer ones, and I'm like, that looks huge, and like they're going all out.
I can't remember if they ever brought that laser like printed like mask thing back in 2 or 3, but I actually really appreciated it in 4. Like that one of the villains just like pulled one off at one point. I was like, oh, that was a nice callback, like because that's established in the franchise that's a thing. So it was, but no, the action in 4 I think is spectacular. Everything on that building with Tom Cruise hanging off the side of it is just perfect.
I believe
it's perfect. I'll hear none of it. Anyway, but people seem to be liking it, which is cool. I'm sure I'll enjoy it when I get to see it. But number 2 was Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, with 15 million. Notice that Teen Titans Go is not number 2.
I am noticing, yes. Very disappointed.
Yeah, number 3 was The Equalizer 2, with 14 million. Notice again that Teen Titans Go was not number 3.
More interestingly as well, those two are still neck and neck.
Yeah, very close, yeah. Week 2 and they're both...
That was the case with week 1 as well, wasn't it?
And even Hotel Transylvania 3 was really close, and it's still pretty close at 12.2 million, and that's at number 4.
Oh, that did better than Teen Titans. That one hurts.
Yeah. Teen Titans Go to the Movies is number 5 with 10.4 million. We way overshot that. That is like...
We shot with our hearts.
I thought a kids comic book movie. I thought that would be higher. They sent that out to die. I don't think they marketed that enough.
Oh, they can't have done. It's a shame because it looks so good. I can't wait to see it. I don't know if you saw the clip that they released over the past week of it was them going to go travel in time, and they use some of the Back to the Future score in there while they're doing this, and and then they go into Aha's Take on Me. And it's just this wacky, fun thing. It's like, this is fantastic.
What I would do with that is they go back in time. Instead of doing those references, I would have them go into the old DC movies. So you'd see like Michael Keaton's like in animated form, obviously, but you'd see like Michael Keaton's Batman and Christopher Reeve's Superman. And
honestly, they might still do that because this sequence is just them powering up the bikes to time travel. They're not actually do so. Maybe do you want to know the reason why they're traveling back in time?
Go on.
So, Robin establishes that all superheroes are created they're born from tragedy. So they're going to go back in time and remove all the tragedy that caused them to be a hero. It's like, stop Batman's parents being shot, for example.
That then goes so well for Booster Gold in the comics, so I'm not feeling too optimistic about that.
Yeah, so they don't become heroes, and then they get to be the only heroes around so that they get a movie about them.
Seems a bit selfish. What about all the innocent people who have been saved by all these other heroes? They're just now doomed.
I know. Oh, I mean, if you've watched the cartoon in general, they're incredibly selfish to a horrific degree. I always say it's the kids' cartoon version of Always Sunny.
All right, okay.
Because they're all just awful people, and that's why it's good.
But that's number 5. Number 4 is Ant-Man and the Wasp at 8.7 million in its 4th weekend. Let me see what that's doing worldwide, actually. I think that'd be curious to check out. That has made 395 million worldwide. It's worth mentioning that domestically it's now outgrossed the first movie. I don't think it has worldwide yet, but it's still got a lot of markets to open in. Let me just...
I was going to say, it's worth noting it's not opening a lot of markets, most of Europe, because of the World Cup. People were like, yeah, let's not put movies out during that.
Let me just see what the worldwide was, because it was quite low, I imagine. 519, so it's got about 100... Just over 120 to go. I think it'll probably do that.
I feel like it'll do that, yeah.
I don't think it'll do like much more than the first one did, but it should at least match it.
A little bit, yeah.
But yeah, so that's number 6. Number 7 is Incredibles 2 with 7.2 million. Number 8 is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom with 6.7 million. Number 9 is Skyscraper with 5.3 million. And number 10 is The First Purge with 2.2 million. So
I have a question. What has The Incredibles 2 scraped itself up to worldwide? Because that's getting up there.
oh, 999 million.
Okay, it's getting there next week
Yeah, so
then.
it'll be there by next week. Uh, damn, that is
Let's be honest. It's probably there by the time the next day's numbers come in.
probably, but it's not been updated yet, so we ain't counting
No.
it.
But I'm happy for it to have gotten that much.
Yeah, because Disney needs more success.
Yeah, but it was just a great movie. So what do you want me to
Disney
say?
needs to get a dose of humble pie. They're getting too powerful.
They are getting too powerful. But hey, this is Brad Bird. You like Brad
I do
Bird?
love Brad Bird. He made the best Mission Impossible movie. He also made The Iron Giant, which is better than The Incredibles, which is also very, 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 very good. But Iron Giant is a masterpiece.
They're both masterpieces, except this one's better than the other one.
So that's box office, except for the fact that we've got some predictions to make for next week. I think we'll do a second weekend of Mission Impossible. I think that's worth doing.
What was the first again?
61 million.
Oh.
Right? And then we got 3 other new entries that I think are worth doing. We have The Darkest Minds, which is like a young adult, like almost X-Men-y superhero thing. And then we have Christopher Robin. And I'm writing these initials down, and I wrote your initials there because it's the same.
It is
I
the
was
same,
just
yes.
pointing that out. And then we got The Spy Who Dumped Me, which is a comedy with Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon, which had a pretty typical trailer for a movie of its type. It looks like, forgettable stuff.
Yeah.
I'll just call that Spy. So we're going to make some guesses for these. I think this is going to be a really big spread again, to a point.
So starting with Mission Impossible.
Start with Mission Impossible.
I'm going to like 2024.
24. That's fair. I think that's a bit low, because typically I expect it to be, and I'm going to go closer to half, but I'm going to go slightly higher than half. I think word of mouth is quite good, so I'm going to go with 35. I'm going to say it's got good legs, and can
not unreasonable.
maintain 35. That's what I'm going to go with. Then we get The Darkest Minds. Don't have a lot to go in here. I think this is going to bomb.
Yeah, I do too. I'm thinking a comfortable 13.
13. I'm actually going to go lower than that. I'm going to say 7.
I wouldn't be too shocked, honestly.
I'm basically thinking that Christopher Robin will get the kiddie stuff, Spy Who Dumped Me will get the teenagers, or Mission Impossible will, and Ant-Man's still out.
Well, I think Mission Impossible Ant-Man get the teenagers because I think The Spy Who Dumped Me bombs as well, frankly.
I think that'll do better than Darkest Minds.
Maybe just, yeah.
I mean, what were you think for Spy Who Dumped Me?
Not much. I'm going 15. So I think they're pretty close. I think that one does edge it, but I'm not confident in either of them.
I mean, yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm going to go 14. I don't want to go higher than you there. I don't think it's going to be any higher. I think it's going to be a bigger gap because I think Darkest Minds is going to make 7. But so I think it's going to make double.
But you agree that one more or less.
Yeah, but I think it'll do fine as an R-rated comedy, which is I think mid-teens is okay for that.
Yeah,
not great, but okay. Which leaves Disney's Christopher Robin, which I do think will be number 1 most likely.
I think it'll be comfortably number 1. Yeah.
I don't think it'll be number 1 by a huge margin though. I feel like if I'm right about 35 for Mission Impossible, I think Christopher Robin might be about like 45, 50. I'm thinking maybe even closer to 40.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say 43.
Okay, because I was thinking in the 35 to 40 range. I think it picks up a bit more of the families.
Mm-hmm.
But you went 43, so I'll skew in the middle of my two and go 38.
All right. There you go. That's a guesses. So we'll see next week if we were remotely correct. We probably weren't. Watch Spy Who Dumped Me break 80 million and Christopher Robin do about 10.
How far this week? Obviously, Teen Titans we have a show. What were our guesses for Mission Impossible?
Mission Impossible this week. We're both off. We're both too high. You guessed 70. I guessed 85.
I was closer. It's not a million miles off.
No, it's not. I think we were thinking it's a bigger franchise than it is because it's on its sixth
Clearly,
movie,
yeah.
and they keep making them.
Yeah, admittedly though, that's 6 movies over what, 20 odd years, right?
Yeah, it's actually kind of insane. Like I said, I was joking earlier that they had the same scene essentially from Mission Impossible 1 and the fifth one, except now instead of a floppy disk no, it was a CD. I think it was a CD. It was a CD-ROM. Now it's a USB stick because times have changed.
Yeah, yeah. Quite a lot of space between movies, really.
Well, it was at first. I don't think. I think 4 onwards have been pretty close together.
They've been like maybe two or 3 years apart,
Because
right?
4 was like 2011, 2012, and then the fifth one was 2015, do I say? Maybe 2016? 2015? And then this one obviously 2018. So now they're at like regular sequel gaps for like other franchises.
Yeah.
Whereas,
But they were quite spaced out for a good
because
while.
1 to 2 was like 95 to 2000 and maybe just 2000 actually, so maybe 5-6 years. And then the third one wasn't until like 2007. So yeah, the first 3 were really spread
Yeah.
out.
This would be great if IMDb didn't give me bloody adverts popping in my way. So first one was 96,
96, okay.
and then 2000, and then 06, and then 2011, 2015,
So four years.
2018. So the speed.
So, yeah, so 4 years, 6 years, 5 years,
3
3
years.
years. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a big. Like, I mean, Friday the 13th got to its 6th movie in about 7 years, so you know.
It's taking its time.
Yeah. But hey, they had to rejuvenate after that awful second movie. That's what that is. So let's move on to the news then. Let's get on to the actual news.
Yeah, let's start this show.
Yes. It's your fault. You always drag out that opening box office. That's your fault.
Yeah.
So, comic book movie news first. Robert De Niro is in talks to join the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. Not a whole lot to do with his character as of yet, but it does say he'll play a talk show host, a formative figure in the development of the character who eventually becomes the Joker. But the sources are saying that he's not a villain necessarily. He's like maybe an incidental, character.
I just hate I hate the sound of this.
Yeah, I don't like this in origin either. I'm almost getting like, I mean, it says he's a talk show host. Like, I'm almost getting like it cuts back to him like doing talk show segments throughout the film, like talking about the city or something like that, and it somehow ties into the Joker
Yeah.
story eventually. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Mm.
I don't like it. I mean, it's fine casting, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah. So we're getting a movie based on The Old Guard, the Greg Rucka book.
oh, cool. I like that
Yeah.
book.
Gina Prince Brightwood has been cast to direct it. She's known for Love and Basketball. She's going to direct it for Skydance Media. It is a female-led action film based on the comic book series from Greg Rucka and illustrator Leandro Fernandez. Rucka is adapting the screenplay, so he's writing the script himself. That's interesting. The story follows a small, covert group of immortal mercenaries who must fight to keep their team together when they discover the existence of a new immortal and their extraordinary abilities are exposed. So yeah, no, it's just interesting because we like Rucka a lot from the comics. Like we love that writer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and the only downside to him writing this script means that I'm not getting any more Black Magic for a while again. I think.
mm. Well,
Sorry, big moth just getting in my way.
yeah, I mean, he's got Lazarus as well. He's got a few comics on the go,
He does,
which I need to
but
catch up on actually.
I don't care about Lazarus.
I need to catch up on both. All right, so that's that. And then one last thing, just quickly mention this. We spoke about the James Gunn firing last week. I thought it was just worth mentioning the cast put out an open letter, basically supporting them, saying they want him to be rehired, and all the main cast members had signed it. This was put on social media today, so I thought that was worth just kind of pointing out that they were all kind of sticking up for him.
Yeah. The only one that I chuckled at was that Sean Gunn bothered to sign.
Yeah, because his brother
Yeah.
is in support of
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
That's the one that should be given.
And especially since he's the one who more than likely has been like close with them through all side of his stupid jokes. Whereas, Chris Pratt was kind of saying, yeah, his jokes were awful, like we don't stand by those jokes, but we know he's a good person, and so on. Whereas Sean Gunn, I assume, was right by his side cracking similar jokes probably at the time because he was just around.
It's funny on this topic because Sarah Silverman, the comedian, had a thing in this last
Oh.
week on this very topic where someone dug up a joke, and it was again a joke about about kids in the same vein that the gun jokes were.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't put out an apology. She just went, "Nah, screw you. It was funny at the time. People, those jokes were normal at the time. I'm not going to apologize for making it then. I'm not making it now, but then that was just the thing."
I mean,
I imagine hers was a more structured joke
yeah,
rather
yeah,
than
because his were just really like
none.
yeah, like I'd have to see or hear her joke to like really judge it in any kind of capacity.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, I imagine hers was a more structured
Because
joke given
I
the
don't think
context.
I don't think it's impossible to tell a joke on the subject of paedophilia and not have some sort of actual proper joke out of it that's not that bad. Like I'm sure I've heard a few.
No, I agree. I think it's possible, and maybe this
But
is
his weren't
one.
jokes.
I've not
His were
read it
literally
yet.
just I'm going to do this, and that was it.
Yeah,
That wasn't a joke.
yeah,
It was meant to be like a twist and like a point to the joke.
yeah. No. Hers was an actual. It was a joke. I'm just glad to say it now. But people are angry because the now it's come back up and they go, no, pedophilia is just not a joking matter. There's nothing funny about that. No matter how you spin it or twist it, it's tasteless, and you shouldn't be joking about that.
Oh no, I always
So
liked Frankie Boyle's joke that Halloween was the perfect time for the agoraphobic paedophile. I think that's a funny joke.
yeah,
What do you want? That's a good joke.
no, it is. Frank Boyle is a great example of someone who really pushes the
He does,
line,
and don't get me
right?
wrong, I do think sometimes I feel like he's just trying too hard to be like as offensive as
Yeah,
possible.
I
But
think I don't know if you've ever seen him live,
I,
but there's a great thing when you're there where he'll say a joke and you'll laugh, and there'll be people around you be going, oh, that's a bit
uh,
much, and then 5 minutes later he'll say another joke and you'll go, bit over the line there, but there'll be people around you laughing.
yeah, yeah.
It's one of those where it's so subjective.
It's very subjective. I do think there's a time to shock and whatever, but even he tends to have a punchline. Where even if I don't even if I think he's crossed the line, there's still a joke there. Whereas James Gunn's tweets weren't even really jokes. I mean, they were just
It would.
it,
And at least with his, you're at a comedy show, right?
yeah, you're
There's
prepped for it.
context.
Yeah, you've come in knowing you're seeing a comedy show where everything's a joke. You're prepared for it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so on to the regular news then, on to the general movie news. So first up, Star Wars Episode 9 will begin filming August 1st at London's Pinewood Studios, very famous movie studio. Alien shot there, I think, or was it Aliens? One shot at Pinewood, the other one shot at Shepperton, and I can never remember which in my head, which way around it was.
I think it's Aliens that shot at Pinewood.
Was it?
But I could be wrong.
Hmm.
I think so. For some reason, that's the one that springs to
No,
mind.
yeah, you may be right. I can never remember which way around it
I
is.
know. Like most Star Wars stuff is shot at Pinewood in some
I
capacity.
think some of Nolan's Batman stuff was shot there, because in the first movie they actually built like an entire Gotham Street and shot it in a studio.
Yeah.
Which I almost wish they did for the second two, just to keep it feeling like it was a
Keep
yeah.
it feeling the same.
But anyway, so they've announced a bunch of cast. Naomi Aki's going to join the cast, as well as Richard D. Grant. They already confirmed Billy D. Williams, Anthony Daniels, Mark Hamill, blah blah blah. The big thing here, though, is that they've actually got footage of Carrie Fisher that they shot for The Force Awakens that was unused, that they're going to work into the film so that she's in there in some capacity. Which, I mean, it's a fine idea. It's noble. I mean, I always get a little bit skeptical at these things. I'm like, how is this going to fit really? Like, how are you?
I think a good scenario for this, because again, I'm the same as you. It's like, is this going to feel shoehorned?
Yeah.
in? I think a good scenario is, I know obviously the theory for a long time was, okay, they're going to kill the character between movies. We're going to open with the crawl saying that she's been killed, right? I feel like we do a memorial and you use some of that footage, put it through like a hollow filter, and have her give like a message sort of thing.
Especially if the scene in question,
That's what I'd do.
if the scene in question was her giving some sort of speech, then that'll play.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, okay.
The only thing I have from this casting is they actually put Billy Lord in this cast list.
Yeah, because she was in the last two, of course,
promotion,
but she was. I mean, she had a little bit more to do in Last Jedi. I noticed her having a couple of lines in that one compared to Force Awakens.
But given the reduced cast from that movie to where we are here now, she might have a slightly bigger part again, which I'm all for.
Hey, Chanel number 3. Yeah, give her more lines.
3, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, because 5 was the one with teeth. That was Abigail Breslin.
Yes. Yeah.
And anyone who's not watched Scream Queens is wondering what the hell we're talking about.
And really should be going to watch Scream Queens as soon as they finish this video.
Because I didn't know she was Carrie Fisher's daughter at first, and then there was a moment that it dawned on me, because our character in that show always wears earmuffs, and the joke is that it's like Leia's hair. But anyway, so moving on. So here's an interesting thing. So Netflix, I actually didn't see this until I was looking for the news, like yesterday, and I was kind of shocked by this. Netflix have acquired another big movie for their own platform. It's already been made.
I'm intrigued how you managed to miss this, because this was posted in our Facebook group earlier in the week.
I just never saw it. I've been busy, I guess. Maybe that was the day I was messing around my computer and everything was shut down.
It might well have been.
And I was just stressing over getting things working. So Mowgli. How do you pronounce it? Mowgli.
Mowgli.
Yeah. It used to be called Jungle Book Origins. This was the second Jungle Book movie. This is the one that Andy Serkis is doing. Still has a very notable cast. Christian Bale's in there, so on and so forth. It's a big cast.
Yeah, there was a lot. We covered a trailer.
Yeah, there was a trailer earlier this year.
A month or two ago now, right?
And that's the thing. So it's I'm sure it's still in post, but it's been shot. There's been a trailer released to promote the film for its release later this year, and Netflix have got the rights to it. They've bought it. They've bought this finished film. And I almost wonder if the reason why they were willing to sell it was because of like the weirdness of, we just had a Jungle Book movie like a year and a half ago, and this is just a safer option.
I think they know it's just not going to perform to the same level, like, because this, I really like that last Jungle Book movie, I should point out, but there's a chance this is a better movie, because I haven't seen it yet, so I can't judge that. But even if it is, it's probably going to underperform the other one.
Especially
just by nature of being 2 years later,
and especially since the other one did really well. It made a lot of money, so most people will go.
Disney threw some weight.
Oh, is this a sequel? Oh no, it's basically the same story again. Oh shit, I don't really want to see the same story again. And even I I don't know if I want to see it when it comes out. I mean, if it's coming to Netflix, I mean, I might as well just.
You might as well.
But yeah, so that was meant to come out on October 19th, but instead Netflix will release it next year on their servers globally. They will still have a theatrical component because it was shot in 3D, and they think they should still put it out in 3D. So I imagine it might get like special IMAX, like 3D, like screenings when it comes out.
Yeah, maybe a limited 3D release in general for theaters.
So on the one hand, I think like Circus, like as much as like there's nothing wrong with being on Netflix now, I feel like because of the reasons we were saying why we think they might have wanted to sell it, I think Circus might be a little bit demoralised about it. But for Netflix's point of view, this is easily probably the biggest budgeted movie like they've had their hands on.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think this necessarily speaks to the quality of the movie.
Oh, no, sure, yeah.
Case, piss off. Sorry, get attacked.
Some off, calm down.
It was like that far from my eye. But no. Yes, well, yeah, that's what I say. No, I think it is just the circumstances here. I don't think it's like, oh no, it's going to be a bad movie. I think they don't know how to market it, given that people probably don't really want this movie right now.
Yeah, we just had one like 2 years ago. Hell, even 10 years ago, I think would be too soon for my tastes. Like.
Yeah, but for Hollywood, 10 years is fine.
Sure. Next up, so David Leitch, the director of Deadpool 2 and John Wick, I think he did the first John Wick.
Yeah, I think he co-did that one.
So he's in early talks to do a remake of Enter the Dragon, the 1973 Bruce Lee film. So the original that is a very bold move. The original was a very big film, of course. Bruce Lee, John Saxon was in there. And Enter the Dragon, a Shaolin martial artist is pressed to enter the karate tournament on the island owned by the Secret of Han, who is suspected of using the gathering as a way to smuggle drugs around the world. Protagonist has his own motivation for revenge. He learns his sister fought for her life and ultimately killed herself on Han's island rather than succumb to rape by a group of Han's thugs. And it mentions here as well that basically like karate schools became popular for kids after this movie. Like that's kind of like I think us growing up, we're just used to there being like karate and kung fu and like just classes being around. Apparently, that became a huge
Yeah.
thing after Enter the Dragon. That's what made it popular.
I believe that. I'm not even going to question
Yeah,
that.
no, it sounds right. I like Enter the Dragon. Enter the Dragon's a solid movie. I don't see the point in having a non-Bruce Lee version of Enter the Dragon.
That's I mean, who dares take that role? Like who wants to go? Yeah, go on then.
Scarlett Johansson, maybe.
I mean, it would be interesting.
I'm proud of that joke. That was a proper joke.
That was proper topical.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah. I mean, because the plot's not that great. I mean, the movie's good because of its martial arts, because of Bruce Lee. Even John Saxon's character, I like John Saxon a lot. He's in a lot of horror movies. Over this time period and into the 80s. I don't I don't know what the appeal of doing an Enter the Dragon series. And obviously, I think Warner Bros. Has wanted to capitalize on it in some way, basically since it came out. Right, for the past 40 years, they have been determined to somehow do an Enter the Dragon 2 or Enter the Dragon franchise or somehow some way. And now it's okay, we're going to do a sequel somewhere. And okay, you've got a co-director from John Wick, so I guess at least in that sense, we could have more of a martial artist version of John Wick, right? So, I'm almost thinking, just the way that action was shot in John Wick. Think of the way he would use the guns.
John Wick has a real camera choreography for the action, doesn't it?
So don't get me wrong, I like the idea of a martial arts movie with that camera work, but just call it something else. Make it its own thing.
It's starting to feel more like they want to be the Raid, right?
Oh sure, yeah, you could go in that way, yeah.
But like I said, that movie is successful. That movie exists because of Bruce Lee. That's it. That's the whole point of that movie. So, who wants to take that role and try and live up to that?
I don't know. This is an ill-advised sequel. I do genuinely believe there's a lot of movies that should never be remade. And I never really thought about Enter the Dragon as one of them. I always bring up Back to the Future as the one that always springs to mind first. But yeah, don't touch Enter the Dragon. Leave it alone.
And like I said, it's a different reason for not remaking something, isn't it? It's no, just because the thing that makes that special is just one person. So trying to recapture that is such a ballsy move.
Yeah,
a stupid move, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, I just don't touch it. Don't remake it. There's I don't think anyone would be that upset if you did some sort of quasi sequel, right? Some sort of the son of that character, or maybe even grandson, depending on how long it's been, daughter, granddaughter, whatever. And it's you'll have it be something the dragon. Have it be
Yeah, and it's meant to be part of that legacy, right? That it's supposed to be maybe living up to them as a character.
Yeah, you could even make that into the plot.
In that role as an actor.
But it doesn't feel like as much of a betrayal because it's okay, right? So it's set in the same universe. It's 40, 50 years later, and you can have this new character, but you're not necessarily completely in the shadow. I mean, you are a bit. It's going to be compared, absolutely, it always will be, but at least at that point.
But it's a step removed.
Yeah, it's not just you're trying to redo Bruce Lee. So remaking it feels like a really, really bold choice to me. I don't even know who you cast as this, but yeah. So Enter the Dragon.
No idea.
So next up, we have the Charlie's Angels reboot, which Elizabeth Banks is going to direct. They've got their cast. They've got Kristen Stewart and Naomi Scott. Naomi Scott, of course, was the Pink Ranger in the new Power Rangers, and obviously Kristen Stewart from your Twilights and whatnot. And also we have British newcomer Ella Balinska as the third in the trio. So Banks is going to be in it. She's actually going to play Bosley, who's typically been a male role, and she's also going to direct it, of course. So that's what's going to happen here. The film will follow in the new next generation. That feels weird. Why would you say new next generation? Just say the next generation.
Yeah, new generation or
Yeah.
next generation.
Next generation of angels working for the mysterious Charlie. Since the original film, starring Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu, based on the 1970 series, the Townsend agency has grown considerably and has gone global, providing security and intelligence services to a variety of private clients with offices and highly trained teams worldwide. The film focuses on one of these teams. That's interesting. Does that mean the original two films are in continuity? Like,
It sounds like it. It's funny because it kind of sounds like what we were just saying with it.
it does, yeah. That's what it's kind of doing here. It's just, I mean, they're calling it Charlie's Angels, but it's kind of a quasi sequel in a weird way.
It is, yeah. Like they say, oh, it's grown. We've got more teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
I never really liked those movies, so I guess I'm less interested if they're going to keep the same tone. Like I would want something a little bit different.
That's fair. I'm not super into them either. I like Elizabeth Banks as a director.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like ultimately, like I don't really have any attachment to the property, so I don't really,
No,
I don't
me
really
either.
care if it appeals to me. If if other people like it, then great. But if it's going to be something I was going
Yeah,
to like, then it
it's
would be something a little bit different from those movies.
no, but I'm like, okay, if I see this and I like the trailer, and then I like the movie, great, bonus. I got something good out of it. If I don't, not really lost
Yeah, I mean, it
anything.
can still be
I don't
good for
really
people
care.
who like Charlie's Angels, but I'm not someone who
Yeah.
cares really. So, I mean, rock on.
Yeah.
So there you go. Next up, so Kevin Smith. This was a recent addition. Kevin Smith is teasing that he has just completed his biggest writing gig that he's ever had for a project that he might be working on next year. Here's the exact quote: "Just finished a huge writing gig, and I haven't talked about it publicly yet. It is the most massive IP I've ever been allowed to play with, and if the powers that be decide to move forward with the project, it would be the biggest budgeted anything that I've ever done. Wish me luck." Now, what I think is interesting about that is he did work on a Superman script once, which is a pretty big IP.
Yeah, and in terms of not writing, but he has directed a lot of at this point a handful of episodes from Supergirl, Flash.
Yeah.
So the DC Universe IP in general, he's quite familiar with.
Absolutely. I mean, I would get away with like discounting those just based on, okay, he's talking about movies and he's talking about, and maybe you
I
could
agree,
discount
but like I said,
Superman.
he did work on
Superman Lives because
It never
because he
happened, right?
wrote it, but he wasn't going to direct it, and it never happened. But he does say biggest IP he's ever worked on, and I would include Superman Lives in that. He still wrote that script.
I would too. I would count it as well. The only way I can say that it doesn't is if he's putting that under the impression that most people probably aren't that aware of that because it never happened. We are because we're the sort of people who cares, but a lot of people
maybe.
probably
I
aren't
don't feel
aware.
like Kevin Smith. I feel like Kevin Smith's the sort of guy who wouldn't make that distinction, though. He would just, he would say that and mean it. Like, if this is the biggest IP he's ever
That's
worked
true,
on,
yeah.
it is the biggest IP he's ever worked on.
That said, he does exaggerate a lot.
That's also true. But what's bigger than Superman?
Batman.
Please no. Keep him away.
I feel like I can feel Matt punching
Yeah.
me already.
I mean,
No, I don't actually know.
like, I mean, it's really. I mean, I would almost debate anything that you could argue that is bigger than Superman because I think Superman's up there with the biggest. But like,
I
but
agree.
I mean,
yeah.
if you really can talk about things that are debatably bigger, you're looking at the biggest franchises in the movie industry, right? You're looking at Star Wars. You're looking at, I don't know, Marvel. You're looking at you're looking at all these things, these big things.
Yeah, it's weird. I think any of them are fair game for Kevin Smith because he's in the zeitgeist of that sort of stuff in general.
See if this ends up in something that's actually like a really niche like TV show from the 70s that's getting a movie reboot, and he thinks it's bigger than Superman. I'm going to call shenanigans on this entire statement.
That's fair. I would also be calling some shenanigans.
Oh yeah, I'm doing a TV reboot of Airwolf. Great.
Let's be honest, his own script probably makes him cry anyway.
Oh dear. Just I hope it's not something I care about. 'Cause I don't like Kevin Smith that much.
I love the man as a personality. I think he's great. I happen to also be a fan of his work. Not all of it, there's not everything's great, but for the most part, I'm a fan, and I'm intrigued to see what this is.
So moving on, Walmart is collaborating with veteran television executive Mark Greenberg on a new video streaming service. that would challenge the dominance of Netflix and Amazon by targeting.
I mean, it can try.
Yeah, by targeting middle American tastes in programming. It's in the very early stages. They might not greenlight it. It's not officially happening yet, but Greenberg left his role last year as chief executive, to say that properly, of Epix. He's also been had senior positions at Showtime and HBO. So he's a good bit of experience then, a bunch of TV places.
Yeah. I remember him leaving the role last year. I remember talking about it.
I think what's interesting to me, and why I put this in, is just the idea that places we would not associate with video creation, content creation, are even considering getting into the streaming game.
Yeah, because we've been telling for a good while now that every movie studio is just gonna have its own service, maybe even two. Some of the bastards.
Yes.
Looking at you, Disney.
Yeah, or even Warner Brothers. Here's your kids thing. Here's your DC thing. Here's your main movie thing.
Hell yeah, they're already doing that because Warner have Boomerang for the kids cartoons. And we've got the DC universe starting in a couple months.
No doubt we'll get Warner's premiere or whatever they're going to call it. The regular movie one.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So, I mean, but Walmart, didn't see that one coming.
No, I could see it just falling through and not going anywhere. But I thought it was worth mentioning that other places might start getting into this. I know Apple. We talk about Apple streaming service a lot in the TV news, but Apple.
I can expect that.
Like as much as Apple don't really make content yet, or at least they haven't, up until now, really. It still feels very natural for them. Like it still feels like a fit. Like it's kind of like if Google starts making content, I'm like, yeah, and technically they do because they own YouTube. But
yeah,
but that never felt like weird. It's like, okay, of course YouTube would eventually branch out into making original content that was like actual TV shows. It feels right. It feels like it makes sense.
It does. Well, I guess their logic is people who come into their stores who just come to buy groceries. Some of them aren't people who care about streaming, but maybe they're the sort of people they can grab and sign up to their.
Well, that's what the phrasing "middle American taste." What does that mean exactly?
It means CBS shows.
It probably does mean that, which means it's something we can happily ignore, but it's worth mentioning.
Probably.
It's worth mentioning that more people are trying to do this. So that is that. Next up,
just what the market needed, right? More fracture.
Oh god, yeah. Sony Pictures is an early development of a Rumpelstiltskin adaptation with Peter Dinklage on board to produce and star as the titular character. Because of course, Rumpelstiltskin is a popular Brothers Grimm fairy tale about a miller who gets in hot water by lying to the king, telling him that his daughter can spin straw into gold. The king locks her in a room and forces her to prove that her abilities are true or die. So that is your Rumpelstiltskin. It's funny. This is one of these things where I've never actually really read the story, or like I've obviously heard the name because he's just part of pop culture, but.
Yeah, no, I have. Never one of my favourites. I'll be honest. Yeah. It's always one of them that it's just like it's a middle tier fairy tale.
Oh, that's fair. So that's the thing that's happening. I love the idea that he's big enough now that there's all these projects popping up that are for someone of his size. Like, oh, okay, we'll do that movie. It wouldn't surprise me if like
can we get Dinklage every time? That's what.
It's basically like I feel like he's probably turned down like 10 offers for a Leprechaun reboot at this point. They probably keep asking him like, "Hey, do you want to come and do a Leprechaun movie?" And he's like, "No, I'm better than that." And they're like, "Damn it, come on, do a Leprechaun movie."
Ask him about 15 years.
When the money's dried up, Game of Thrones is forgotten. maybe he'll want to do.
That's when you grab him.
Fox has found a way. Let's see. This is weird. So Ryan Reynolds is going to produce a film called Stoned Alone, which is like a stoner version of Home Alone. So this is like Fox kind of tying back into an old franchise that used to be really successful, but not. I mean, I guess it's inspired that it's not the exact same thing. They're just kind of like making fun of it almost.
It's a reimagining.
Yes. Centers around a 20-something weed-growing loser who misses the plane for his holiday ski trip. He makes the best of things by getting high. Paranoia sets in and he believes and he hears someone break into his house. Turns out thieves have broken in. Fully stoned and fueled by paranoia, he tries to thwart the thieves and defend his castle. I'm sure castle's just a metaphor.
I'm so out.
Yeah, I hate stoner humour, so yeah, I'm good. I love Home Alone. I would much rather Home Alone 6 or whatever we're on at this point than then
Yeah, I'm not even a big Home Alone fan.
I'll just
so,
reboot it. You know, Home Alone's one of those things where like it is just the concept. Like you probably could just reboot that. It probably won't be as good because you know, lightning striking twice and all that, and like all the things that make Home Alone. But give me a movie about a kid fending off thieves with lots of ridiculous traps. That's all I really want.
Yeah. Doesn't even really have to be at Christmas, does it?
I suppose not, but I mean it's part of the charm. That said, though, I will happily take a R-rated reimagining of Home Alone, though, where the traps are all deadly.
Oh, I'm sure you would. But what you're describing there is Saw.
No, I'm not. No, come on.
It's just that's just a movie in the Saw franchise.
No, because it won't be filmed like a piece of shit for a start.
That is fair.
It won't be filmed with that stupid filter that's blurry and like desaturated and
great.
Shite, absolute shite. Anyway, next up, Disney has acquired a pitch for Sadie, a live-action fairy tale film about an African princess, based on an original idea by Ola Shokumbi and Lindsay Reed Palmer, which has dope director Rick Famuyiwa. I can't say his last name. I really don't know how to do it. Famuyiwa. Sorry, apologies to the director. I'm probably butchering his name. But Dope was a pretty solid movie, so he's got cred.
Yeah, I really like it.
He's attached to produce, while Scott Falconer will serve as executive producer. It centers on a young African girl named Sadie, who, when her kingdom is threatened by a mysterious evil force, accepts her newly discovered magical warrior powers to protect herself and her people. With the help of the kingdom's prince, Sadie embarks on an adventure that will allow her to embrace what makes her special and save the kingdom. Sounds like a fairy tale, sure.
Yeah, can't argue with it.
I'm actually kind of surprised it's live action, to be honest. It sounds like an animated movie.
It does. There's a few times we've said that over the last month or so, right?
I guess we're at a point now where we can do so much with effects that it's like, no, let's just do it live action, whatever. Just go for it.
Just do it.
I think I have to laugh though. I almost feel like Disney's like, we're just going to remake it in live action in like 15 years anyway. Let's just do it live action the first time.
It's a fair point.
That's the attitude.
Yeah. Alternatively, their animation department's all tied up for about a decade, so they're like, well, if we want to make it anytime soon.
Sure. Next up, Fox acquired the feature rights to the Mirage Man, Bruce Ivans' Anthrax Attacks. This is America's Rush to War. It's a really long book title, is basically the thing. Yeah. But obviously, the Mirage Man is a perfect title on its own to call a movie. That sounds good.
It is. Yeah.
So it's a 2011 book by the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist David William, and the hunt for the anthrax killer who terrorized America in the days that followed the 9/11 attacks. Anthrax-laced letters began showing up from a New Jersey mailbox to media and financial figures in New York, Florida, and DC, as the country was still in shock after the 9/11 terror attacks. A dog search by the FBI finally zoned in on a microbiologist named Bruce Ivans, who was patenting anti-anthrax vaccines. Look at the racket he's got going. Make everyone have anthrax, and then I've got a cure for anthrax over here.
Well, no, but that's the thing. He hasn't got a cure. He's got a vaccine.
Okay, sure. He can't cure the ones that have already been obviously infected.
Yeah. What he's doing is, hey, look.
He's fear mongering.
You don't want to catch that.
Yeah, he's fear mongering so that people will get his vaccine. Yes, that's what he's doing. Also, I said get anthrax as if anthrax is the name of a disease you get when you get hit with anthrax. You know what I meant.
Yeah. Is it even contagious? Like,
I don't think it's contagious. No, I think you have to come in. I think you have to come into contact with the anthrax itself to.
That's what I thought, but we're talking here like, you don't want to get that, like he's fear mongering. Like,
I still stand by that. He's fear mongering, and he's like saying, "Hey, anthrax could pop up." Like all these letters are going around. You could get anthrax at any moment.
I remember when I was younger, my school had to be demolished because they found so much anthrax that for the next decade after I left, they were just in like portable cabins on the school field. Like my younger brothers, their entire school life was just in these cabins at that age.
And just unfortunately, you survive somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it takes decades for anthrax to set in. It's in there somewhere. It's knocking about in the lungs. That's why I don't smoke.
I love that you come from an area where your school was laced in anthrax.
Oh yeah, it was completely. It was the year after I left, this is the school I left at like 11, and it was completely demolished, and it's a brand new building now. I'm sure they're finished. I mean, I haven't
Because
seen it yet,
because
but I'm sure
you
it is
hear about
finished
them
by now.
redoing buildings because of asbestos, right? And that makes sense because that was like something they used to build with. But why was it anthrax everywhere?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just part of the structure stuff. I don't know why.
All right. Apparently, this was something that was used as well. Um, so yeah, where are we? Yeah. So anyway, so he had a dark side. He was finally apprehended after the wrong man, a scientist who specialised in biowarfare preparedness, was pegged as the prime suspect and saw his life turned upside down. That's perfect for a movie. You've got someone who they thought was the guy, and they almost got him for it, and then finally uncovered the real culprit. That's basically handing them a script at that point. It's like here's your movie.
It is, isn't it? Here's your twist ending.
So no, I do. I mean, obviously, what he did was awful, but I do love almost the cheekiness, the audacity of
Yeah, you respect the
yes
entrepreneurial spirit.
of spreading around anthrax and then saying, "Hey, I've got a vaccine for anthrax. Come and get your vaccine. Only $9.95,
Yeah.
including shipping."
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Fox have acquired the rights to that. So I mean, that could be an interesting thriller. You know, I could see that being almost like a, not quite a Zodiac, but like, something sort of in between that and,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah.
Could be all right.
Next up, Elisa Silverstone, aka the Batgirl from the piece of shit that was Batman and Robin. Also, people might know her from Clueless, but she's the shitty Batgirl to me. Wait, this isn't Barbara Gordon. Alfred's niece? What are you doing? Anyway, so she's been cast in a lead role in Bill Tietler's deadpan comedy called Judy Small, which is in production right now. So Nancy Doyle adapted the screenplay from her novel, which follows Susan Hubbard, played by Silverstone, and her husband Bob, who decide at Susan's instigation to see a marriage counsellor named Judy Small, who appears trustworthy at first but ultimately manipulates the couple, putting the two at odds and bringing their marriage almost to the breaking point. I have to admit, there's something that appeals to me about a comedy where a marriage counsellor is actually trying to like screw up their marriage.
Yeah.
I think there's a humour there that appeals to me, where she's like almost like sabotaging the relationship. I don't know why, it doesn't tell us in the description, but
yeah. No, I can see where the comedy comes from.
I mean, the script and the direction could be terrible, and maybe it won't be funny, but I see potential in that premise. So,
Yeah, no, me too.
Next up, we got a film called Daniel Isn't Real, and we got a cast for it, including Patrick Schwarzenegger. So Arnie's son is in there. I didn't even realize he was acting, to be honest.
I feel like I've seen his name pop up over the last couple of years in something or other, like small little, like almost like little indie drama sort of things.
Yeah. Miles Robbins is in it, Sasha Lane's in it, Hannah Marks is going to be in it. Not that I know who any of those people are. I know Patrick just because his dad's last name's there. That's about it. Which is based on a novel. Which is based on the novel In the Way I Was Saved by Brian D. Liu, who co-wrote the screenplay with Mortimer. So the plot follows a troubled college freshman named Luke, who suffers a violent family trauma and resurrects his childhood imaginary friend Daniel to help him cope. Charismatic and full of manic energy, Daniel helps Luke to achieve his dreams before pushing him to the very edge of sanity in a desperate struggle for control of his mind and his soul. So sounds like a
little bit generic. Maybe.
Yeah, it sounds like a serious imaginary friend movie story thing.
Could be okay though.
Yeah, that's what it is. But that does take us on to the horror movie section for the week. First up, Isabel May, who stars in Alex and Katie, which is a Netflix series. How's there a Netflix series I don't know about? I don't know. Anyway, it has got the lead role for a film called Let's Scare Julia to Death. So Let's Scare Julia to Death is an interesting premise here. Not so much the premise, it's how it's going to be told, which is the thing. It's going to be written and directed by Judd Cremata. The plan is to shoot the film in one continuous uncut 90 minutes shot.
Okay, so instead, we see this every so often in the trickery of that it is presented as one.
But
shot.
This is saying no, it's going to be an uncut 90-minute shot. That's the plan.
If they can pull it off, that's impressive. Because when people do, 7-8 minutes in one
It's
shot,
impressive, yeah.
it's bloody impressive.
It's telling a story in real time of a group of teenage girls at a Halloween party who set out to scare the reclusive new neighbor girl next door. The prank turns to terror when they begin to disappear one by one. May will play the party's host who helps put the prank in motion. So, I mean, the plot sounds fine. The plot sounds like a horror movie. It's teen horror.
If they can pull that off,
Yeah, if they
in one take.
if this is going to be like it's like a real time 24 style horror movie, but the whole thing's one shot. Like, if they pull this off,
that's bloody impressive. If they can,
because I can almost see the camera going like through the party and stuff, and like following someone through, and then going outside, and you see someone over the fence, and they come back round, and like. I mean, honestly, like I'm almost at the point where I'm like, just do the cheating thing that a lot of other things do, where they'll hide cuts here or there, like Birdman or that episode of Mr. Robot or whatever.
Yeah, just make it look good.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I feel like that with this, obviously the final take will be like one shot on the last day, but how many rehearsals are they doing? How many like rehearsals and like takes that they can't use do they go through?
I guarantee they film all those rehearsals just in case something goes wrong and they're like, okay, we need to stitch it together in the edit.
Mm-hmm.
So at least they've got a movie.
Yeah, I feel like the actual shooting time might work out the same as like a horror movie that takes a few weeks to shoot. It's just instead of doing like different scenes every day in parts, you're doing the whole thing every single time over and over again.
You do it like 6 times a day.
Yeah.
About right.
Probably less than that though, because
maybe 4.
All the setting up that would probably require every time you have to reset and redress and all the rest of it.
That's true. Maybe 4 times.
Yeah,
a
3
day.
or 4 is I would guess is what you could get away with, because they'd have to redress all the sets because they'd have to go back to the starting point and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But even like the lighting crew would have to rehearse because they'd have to like be running around with the lights, the cameras, like because at that point. Like, obviously, any camera operator has to like know what they're doing for the shot they're doing, but typically it's just one shot that'll last a couple of minutes or whatever. So you just know what you're doing, and you're told before you do it, or you've looked at the storyboard, you've looked at the directions, and you know it for that one shot.
It's going to be a nightmare keeping cameras and sound guys out of the picture for that entire thing.
Yeah, at this point, the job of the camera operator and the sound people, and basically anyone on set, is the entire thing is a choreographed nightmare of like making sure everyone's in the right place. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah, it almost becomes a theatre production.
Yeah,
but
it'll be really impressive to pull it off. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure. I'm sure there'll maybe a couple of things where they'll maybe use like CG to like get rid of something that they couldn't like not have somehow, but.
Yeah, I'll let them have a few things here and there, but
you'll let them. Okay.
Man, if they can pull this off, that could be something visually spectacular, just as a technical feat.
Yeah, so I'm actually excited about this movie just based on how it's been shot. That's basically my thing.
Yeah, me too.
Next up, Stephen King's best-selling novel from a Buick 8 has been optioned by Ashtok Amaterage's Hyde Park Entertainment. So no surprise, another Stephen King thing is in the works because it made $700 million. So now everything Stephen King has to somehow come into.
I've not heard of this one. That's the thing. King was on the up and up, just before it as well, because you had Netflix part, a couple pre it. You had that. By all accounts, horrific version of The Mist on TV.
Oh God, yeah, don't remind me.
That was before it, if I recall. Yeah. So it was kind of where it peaked.
It's worth mentioning. This one was actually in the works a long time ago with George A. Romero to direct it. So this is
really?
So this is something that's been resurrected with interest. So we got William Brent Bell to write the script and direct, and then it says Bell last helmed the STX release. The Boy.
Oh God.
So Tim loves Stephen King. He also loves The Boy for some reason. So Tim's going to be over the moon with this news. He's going to be like, yes, that auteur is going to be making a masterpiece out of a Stephen King story. That's how he's going to be looking at it.
Tim's actually going to love this.
He actually is. So King published a novel in 2002. His second to feature a vintage car as a fulcrum of evil. Of course, Christine being the other one, the famous example.
I like how it only took till 2002 till he was reusing key ideas like that.
From a Buick 8 centers on around a rural town of Statler, Pennsylvania. Oh, not Maine. Look at that. Where the state police have kept a mysterious 1954 Buick Roadmaster in the shed behind the barracks for over 20 years. But when the town is plagued by strange and supernatural events, it turns out that the Buick isn't exactly a car; it's a door to another dimension. So it's not the exact same as Christine, but
It's not.
Um,
Still sounds like a King story, though, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It sounds fine. I mean, I wouldn't say the direction in The Boy was like terrible. So I mean, I'm not necessarily down on it just because. But the Boy was not a good movie. That was a stupid script.
You kind of hated that, didn't you?
Yeah, I hated the premise. I thought the trailer was stupid. I thought the twist was stupid. I don't know.
And then Tim loved it.
Tim loved it because he's a weirdo. Next up, so here's something interesting. Remember how every time I talk about Unfriended, we're like, oh, that's just surprisingly good, and we didn't really want sequels at first, but the sequel premise sounds kind of interesting. But what we don't want is knockoffs. We don't want other movies set completely on computer screens and so on.
Yeah, of course, we just got one, didn't we?
Did we?
With what's his name? Cho.
Oh, oh, yeah, you're right. That's a separate one. You're right. Yeah, that's the one he's searching for his daughter. You're right.
Yeah, apparently that was actually really good. People seem.
Is this
really
going to be a
into it.
running thing where we don't want more of these because we think it'll get really old really quick, but they keep like surprising us? Like, no, that's like 4 in a row now that have been amazing.
Yeah, I've seen a few people on Twitter who usually I agree with their tastes to a reason, about who loved it. So
I'm sure. I don't know if it's quite a horror film. I'm sure if it is, me and Tim I'm sure I'll get to it at some point.
It sounds more like a thriller.
But so this is called E-Demon with a lowercase e. So E-Demon, right?
Okay.
Jeremy.
I couldn't use the R.
Yes. Jeremy Wechter's. This is his film. It's one of a number of horror films trying to get noticed at Comic-Con in San Diego. The thriller, which takes place entirely on a computer screen with footage shown via webcams, is now found US distribution through Dark Cuts Pictures. So yeah, they're going to do a VOD release and theatrical release same time in September. So it's one of those movies. E-Demon tells the story of an escaped demon on a dark and twisted mission that manipulates a group of friends hanging out on a video chat. Kendra, AJ, Mar and Dwayne are old college friends who find themselves growing apart. Attempting to hang on to their college days, the gang gets together online for a night of stories, pranks and drinking via webcam. As the evening progresses, they unknowingly release a devious demon that had been trapped for centuries in Salem, Massachusetts. Since the demon can possess multiple people at once, the group of friends must determine who they can still trust in order to survive the demon's dark and twisted mission.
Do you know what? It's just dawned on me. This is the modern version of the Ouija board. Just in concept of, we kind of accidentally let something out. Now it's going to possess us because we played this game.
Wait, you mean this movie or like
with
computers in general?
No, this movie here
sure.
And now that's just what they're doing. It's just a Ouija board movie, except with on computer screens.
Sure. I feel like this has been happening a long time though, long before computers were a plot point.
No, they have.
Yeah, I'm sure. Demon's been released. Oh, what do we do about it? I'm sure that's that's not exclusive to this.
No, but very specifically, this one feels like it to me.
Again, I don't really want more of these because even though Unfriended ended up being good, and maybe these other, the sequel's good, maybe this John Cho one's good.
I'll be honest, I haven't heard much good about the sequel for him.
I've not heard anything about it, so I mean, it could be good, could be terrible. I mean, who knows? But I don't hate the setup for this one, like from the description, because it sounds like they're doing more of like the Thing kind of thing, where they're paranoid about who's still them and who's not.
Yeah,
it's not a terrible idea. Like, it's the sort of thing where I really appreciate when someone makes a movie where it's a bottle movie, and this is essentially a bottle movie. It's just all them sitting at their webcam for the whole thing. That impresses me if they can pull that off. If the writing's good enough, because it's the sort of thing where would it be that different if they were all in the same room? I mean, sure, they'll play the scares differently because they'll see things behind them in the camera and stuff. But is it really any different to 4 people being in a room trapped for the whole movie and there's a demon?
Probably not. Depends how they utilize it.
Yeah. I guess the argument there though is it's much more visually interesting because you can still do a lot more with cinematography if it's not on a webcam the entire time.
Yeah, I think the argument at that point is then why not just have them in a room? Why do you need to do this on a computer screen
And
other than just to have that
well,
gimmick?
that's maybe where it comes into the fact that they're all in different locations. Maybe something different happens in each location, that kind of thing.
Maybe it does.
The idea that you're like, if you're in the same room, you can reach out and help someone. On a webcam, you can't because they're not there.
No, no, that's fair. So I think that's down to how these movies succeed is how they treat that, and if they can do that in a realistic and reasonable way.
If they use it to their
'Cause
advantage,
otherwise, it has to. Yeah, it has to justify why they're not just in the same room.
what I liked about Unfriended, and what surprised me the most, was how it used the fact that we didn't switch between computer screens. We stayed on the one person's computer screen the entire time, and we had them looking up things on Google, looking at Facebook, looking at various things, and what she was looking at when the other people couldn't see her doing something revealed a lot about her character, and it was used very impressively to build upon who she was as a person. We learn more about her through her actions on her computer than we did her through her talking to the other characters.
It did lots of very realistic things in the sense, she'd start typing a message.
Yeah.
We'd see it and obviously she'd delete it and type something
And the
else,
opposite,
which, we've all
where she was waiting on someone else, and you'd see it's like the little typing logo, and then it would go away, and then it'd start up again. Like there was a lot of that.
So you have these moments of, okay, we're understanding her thought process, what she's actually thinking versus the perception that she wants them to have, and then the second guessing of other people. It worked really effectively.
Yeah, because it felt, especially I think for people, I think older audiences who have never used like instant messenger or Skype or anything like that, they maybe don't get as much out of it. But I think for a younger audience who do use all of these programs and apps, and I feel like for that generation, our generation and below, and maybe a little bit higher, I feel like for us it all felt very true to life. Like everything about it felt like it was connecting with us because it was all these little things that we understand, and it was used to build a story, and that's what was really impressive about Unfriended. So, and I don't want to just see them use the exact same thing again, but I mean, I see potential here. This could be good. I'm not going to put money on it.
Yeah, I'm trying not to write these off.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, I wrote Unfriended off before I went to see it, and then I went because there was nothing else on that night, and I was at the cinema.
And it was really good.
And it was really good. Yeah, I thought it was great. And so I'm trying not to judge them too much.
Yeah.
It's hard.
So hey, let's move on. Let's move on to interestingly, this is also webcam focused, but it's not a computer screen movie. It's just part of the plot. It's called Cam, right? And this is Netflix. They acquired this. They acquired this during the Fantasia International Film Festival in Montreal. I had to look that there because that's one I don't know off the top of my head. Like I wouldn't have, like, if you said list all the film festivals you can think of, I wouldn't have said Fantasia Film Festival that's in Montreal.
No, no, definitely not.
So it stars Madeleine Brewer from The Handmaid's Tale. That's Janine, for anyone who's watching that show. And then it's also got Patch Dura from The First Purge, Melora Walters from Venom, and Devin Druid from 13 Reasons Why. So a bunch of people I don't really know. But the horror movie is a technologically driven psychological thriller set in the world of webcam porn. So it's about cam girls, right? That follows Alice, an ambitious cam girl who wakes up one day to discover that she has been replaced on her show with an exact replica of herself. As this copy begins to push the boundaries of Alice's internet identity, the control that Alice has over her life and the men in it vanishes. While she struggles to regain what she lost, she slowly finds herself drawn back to her show and to the mysterious person who's taken her place. So, I'm actually into this concept.
I'm intrigued, I'm not gonna lie.
No, do you know what I like about this concept? Is like, obviously they're doing the cam girl thing because they can do things like, okay, the copy will like maybe open a lot of doors that makes her life dangerous because it'll maybe like reveal who she is and where she lives and that kind of thing, and maybe we'll get like scary men who like are predators and stuff like that. But take away the cam girl thing though, right? Take away that. Just think of us, right? We're people who are on YouTube. I stream as well on Twitch, right? We're on YouTube. Imagine one day a video got uploaded to our channel that wasn't us that made it, but it looked like us, and we were sitting going, how the hell did this happen? That's a cool idea.
Do you know what I like? It's essentially, the fear of, okay, someone's, hacked and taken over your life. It's identity theft, but just literally put a face to it. It's just your face. I think that's such a cool idea.
And it's probably
I'm so
if you've done a supernatural route where it's literally like a demonic copy of you or whatever. And maybe it's not supernatural, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's someone who just looked like you and hacked your life because they knew they could get away with it.
Because they could, yeah.
Because I like that, because that's not coincidental to me. That to me, that's like someone found you online and said, "Hey, you look just like me. I can use this to my advantage." I think it's a cool concept. I'm into it. I'm into it as an idea.
No, I'm really into it. I'm way more into it than I think people would expect.
Yeah. So no, it's an interesting idea.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, it is.
So Netflix have acquired that, so we'll see that on Netflix at some point. So that's cool. And then finally, the last news item of the week is what is it? So yeah, Ari Aster, who directed Hereditary, he's working on his next film. It's untitled at the moment, but it's set a cast. Jack Rayner, Will Poulter, and Florence Pugh are going to be starring it. And here's the basic gist of it we have so far. Pugh and Rayner will play a couple that travels to Sweden to visit their friend's rural hometown for its fabled Midsummer Festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult. So that is what his follow-up to Hereditary is going to be. And given how good that was in terms of direction specifically, I can't say I'm not intrigued. And I mean, the premise is just kind of fine. But thinking of what he would do with that, because I've seen Hereditary, it's like, oh, okay, I can see how this is going to be tense as shit.
Yeah, it's hard for me to get quite as excited having not seen Hereditary yet. But I mean, given the reputation, I'll take your word for it.
It's worth mentioning this is A24 again that he's working with. And they're
that again actually says something.
Yeah, and they're shooting in Hungary, and he refers to it as a Scandinavian folk horror movie. So
cool.
Yeah, sounds cool. But that's the news. That's us done. So that brings an end to this show we call Movie News.
Does, yes.
So I guess let us know what you thought of the news items this week. Not a whole lot I suppose one of the things we do at the end here actually is we'll tell you what's coming up movie review wise on the channel and the various audio feeds. Obviously there's 2 movie audio feeds to note, other than this one, because this one of course is on the Mailed Fuzz movies and TV news, where all of our news shows go. But there's also of course the Mailed Fuzz movies feed, which has 1.21 Jigowatts, 1.21 Influx, and 1.21 Overload in it. So that's all the movies, not including Screams, which has its own feed. That is the horror movie show that me and Tim do. That's Screams After Midnight. But yeah, in terms of what just came out and what's coming up, this week from Screams, me and Tim looked at Truth or Dare. And all I'll say about this one is that for some reason this is the first movie from Blumhouse where the title screen actually says Blumhouse's Truth or Dare. I don't know why this is the one he chose to put his name on.
It's a bold choice and probably the wrong choice.
Definitely the wrong choice. But yeah, me and Tim talked about that for pretty much an hour. It was a slaughtering.
55 and a half
there you
minutes.
Go. That's
looking at it now.
We had a couple of Gigawatts go out this week actually, a couple of animated films. Death of Superman, the recent DC animated film, that went out.
Yeah, that hits digital release this week, so we got to that.
Yeah, and it was surprisingly good because they've not been that great recently, these DC animated films, and that's easily one of the best in a long time. So.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
We also had Godzilla's City on the Edge of Battle. Is that right?
You.
That is the second animated Godzilla movie from Netflix. It's the second part of a trilogy. The first part went up earlier this year. We talked about that. We also had 1.21 Influx this week. Had Jaws go up for Shark Week, so you can check out that as well. Patreon, of course, they got some early stuff. They got Hidden Fortress this week, I believe, the Kurosawa film. That was the Patreon vote winner.
I'd have to check.
Yeah,
but
I'm pretty sure.
You're probably right.
And then they also got the Uwe Boll movie, Blood Rain, which we did because we hit a goal on Patreon, and the patrons got to vote on which one we did. They picked Blood Rain, and we watched it. And I'll tell you this, the public who have not seen that review yet, you're in for a treat next Friday. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't like our patrons anymore. Like I said, I love them all for giving us the support and the money, and but I do hate you all
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah, so we reviewed Blood Rain. It is worth mentioning there's another Uwe Boll goal, another $100 up. So if you want to go to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, you can support us, and we'll be so eternally grateful for it. And you can get some bonuses, including some early stuff and some other things. But you can also contribute to the fact that eventually it will lead to us watching another Uwe Boll film. So yeah, I don't know why I am like all the goals should be something that punishes us, but I feel like people enjoy punishing.
Yeah,
So
no, it's true. People like to see us suffer,
yep.
clearly.
So yeah, so you can look forward to that. Patreon this week will be getting early the next Godzilla movie because we're starting to go through them a little bit quicker, so they can expect that. We were hoping to do
By necessity.
yeah, we were hoping to do 2 movies this week with that and something else. Unfortunately, because of the delays towards the end of this week, that's not actually possible. But we'll get back to doing another makeup movie in the near future. But that is that. Is that everything? I think that's everything. Actually, no. One more thing. Patreon are about to get the Overload for the month of July, right at the end of the month. Bubba Hotep was the winner of that vote, so that's coming for patrons this week, and then the public will get it next following week. So
Cool.
So you can look forward to that. But that is all the movie stuff coming up on the channel. So do let us know what you thought of the news this week in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Guys, on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. I'm at Wibble89. Connor's at ConnorRyan94. And of course, go to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. Even if you're not going to be a patron, even if you're not going to sign up, you can get a handy link of all the different shows we do, all the audio feeds that are on offer. So it's worth going over for that anyway. But that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.